So we should be live now. Can you hear me, guys? Please write something down in the comments if you can hear me. Just as I'm launching this here, I've not doing this for quite some time, doing it live here. Let me check. Do you hear my sound? Do you hear my voice? Yay, awesome, cool. You guys hear me? Then welcome to a quick live review of the Q3 earnings of NIO. I was amazed to see the report so quickly out, so I haven't fully read it yet. I just received it, and then I struggled to kind of make this quick live setup here. Bear with me as I go through it, quite unprepared right now, but I have it here. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. So you should now see my second screen with Scott. No champagne so far. That's actually nice. I can see the live comments coming in here, so that's awesome. All right, so no champagne so far. We know what's happening if we pop the champagne bottle, then usually the share price drops. I'm just checking it live now. It seems to be down 4% in the after hours, but well, that doesn't mean anything anyway. So let's jump into the facts. And NIO just reports the unaudited third quarter report. So unaudited, that's quite normal. Usually there is no time for the auditors to audit these numbers for the quarterly reports. So don't get afraid of the unaudited here, despite it's a Chinese company. I hear these comments quite a lot. So let's jump into the numbers. Vehicles delivered, okay, we already know that. And then I think the most important part here is vehicle sales, 628 million. Okay, awesome. Let me quickly check again what I was estimating here. I know I was quite conservative. I was estimating 612 million US dollars in vehicle sales, so they were beating on that, which points me to a higher average sales price, which is good news because I was already ramping it up here. So seems that they didn't have to do too many rebates here in order to achieve those kind of vehicle sales here, which is cool. What's next? Vehicle margin, 14.5% vehicle margin. Okay, this is more than I was expecting. I was, well, once again, quite conservative with around 11%, but 14, this is really now in the mid double digits. That's awesome. And this is compared to the negative 6.8% in the third quarter of 2019, and the 9.7, which was already quite good in the second quarter. So that's really cool. That's really awesome, actually, to be honest. This is really a clear double-digit vehicle margin here, and obviously reflecting the full order book, and that the ES8 was delivered, I think, in a ratio of around 30% of all of the vehicles. So that's really showing that NIO can even, for instance, now compete with Li Auto here, which also reported like double-digit vehicle margins. But always remember, Li Auto, they don't have a big battery because it's not a real EV and so on. So it's really awesome to have double-digit vehicle margins here for a pure EV play, as NIO is, in a really still small scale here of capacity with only 5,000 vehicles production rate. So that's really a good vehicle margin here. Total revenues, 666 million. Okay, that's way more than I was expecting. I was guiding for 658. Okay, only 6 million more, so I was quite close, actually. But this means, we should be with the service business. Let's see where I can find it. Let me see. Other sales were 38.2 million. Okay, cool. So they actually missed on the other sales here. They were guiding for 45 million other sales, but the vehicle sales were quite good. So in the end, even their total revenue was higher than what I was expecting, but still pretty close with this 666 million. the number of the beast, if you know what I'm referring to. So quite an evil number here, but good revenues. Gross profit was 86.3 million in the third quarter. Okay, 86 million. So that's referring to a gross margin of 12.9%. Okay, cool. That's really good as well. Double-digit gross margins. I was hoping that they could do that, and they were jumping easily over the 10% here. So that's also good to see. Let me check quickly. I was calculating here with, let me check the gross profit. I was calculating only with 67 million in gross profit here. So they were more profitable than I was anticipating here. And now it will be interesting to see like what they say about the losses here. Net loss was 154 million in the third quarter. So this is less than I was expecting as well here, right? I was, let me check once again. I think I was way more conservative on these numbers. I was estimating that they do 100 million in research and development and 150 on SG&A, so 250 in operating expenses, coming down to a loss of operations of 182. So they have less losses than I was anticipating, 154 million, which is good to see. Let me check quickly what they spent on R&D. R&D was 87 million, so that's less than I was expecting. And also the SG&A, 138 million. Okay, let me check that again. Okay, I was expecting 150 million, so it seems that they didn't go up as much in the marketing spend to achieve those big revenues, which is actually should be really good news here. Less losses, always good. I was more conservative on each of those figures, to be honest, but I wasn't too far away, I guess, here. So let me see what else we got here. So the net loss attributable to NIO ordinary shareholder. Okay, we can skip that. Cash and cash equivalents, 3.3 billion. Okay, that's a really comfortable cushion here. That's good to see. It's actually a little bit more than I was expecting here. I definitely need to check that once again, but this definitely gives them a really long run rate. And we now need to talk, well, in the next step, basically, of whether or not NIO may need more money in the future in order to grow globally, or if they are actually can do now everything on their own by growing into a profitable business, and then don't even need to raise new money. But as you know, my videos about the dilution of shareholders and so on, I was always expecting that NIO is actually diluting more and raising more cash through making a second offering. But so far with this cash cushion, my first intuition here would be that they probably won't need it in the foreseeable future, depending on how they go into the global scaling here. All right, so let me see what else we can get here. So Q3, okay, this should probably be good. So they have the adjusted net loss per ordinary share, which is 0.82. Oh, well, no, I'm not sure. I think Wall Street estimates were actually 0.17 here. So that may actually trigger maybe some Wall Street analysts to be not happy with those results. As I'm checking it again right now, it's minus 1.57% in the after hours. But remember what happened last time after the earnings. We saw that NIO was actually pre-market, that NIO was super green, and then when trading began, NIO really tanked, I think, like 10% on Q2 earnings back then. All right, let's see what the CEO and CFO comments were. So we achieved a new record highly quarterly deliveries of 12,000 vehicles, blah, 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 followed by the best ever monthly deliveries of 5,055 vehicles in October. What else? Okay, this is super interesting. We expect to deliver 16,500 to 17,000 vehicles in the coming fourth quarter. So remember, if you've seen my video on the preview of the earnings here, I was expecting that they would be guiding for 16,000 vehicles, but they're actually guiding for 16,500 to 17,000. So this means they probably already know that they can ramp the production better than what I was personally anticipating here. And you also need to know that NIO is usually also always guiding quite conservatively. So in terms that if they are guiding here for 17,000 vehicles, I'm pretty damn sure that they will be actually delivering those vehicles. I think we should rather see that they will be exceeding on those numbers. And this is really good because this probably shows that they will be beyond 6,000 monthly productions in Q4 already in order to achieve those numbers. So that's good because this showing that next year they can possibly go on and double on their production. All right, what else? The past month, we are pleased to have launched the BAS and a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack with proprietary thermal management and significant performance enhancement. Yeah, I actually just read that they also have new tech in this battery, new patents there. So it will be interesting to see also if it actually is also more efficient, because to be honest, this is one of the pain points of NIO here, that they are not as efficient as, for instance, a Tesla when it comes to range in terms of kilometers by kilowatt hour. Enabled by our unique battery swap technologies, innovative BAS model, and compressed power solutions, our users can benefit from lower initial purchase prices, flexible battery upgrade options, as well as enhanced assurance of battery performance. Sure. Additionally, following up the release of the NIO OS 2.7.0 via firmware over the air, and this is firmware over the air is something different than just over the air update. This means they can actually access some hardware functionalities of the vehicle and making changes to stuff like even the thermal management of the battery and so on. And they launched this upgrade in October 2020 for the Navigate on Pilot, which now is in some regards similar to the autopilot from Tesla. Not as good for sure, but now can also do highway ramp on, and also getting off the highway. It can overtake vehicles and should be much better than what it's been doing before. So far, I haven't tested that one myself. I was testing the old version last time in China. So I'm really looking forward to test this myself, hopefully soon, when the travel ban gets lifted and I can travel to China again. All right, going forward, we remain committed to deploying more resources in the core technology innovations and delivering in holistic product and services experiences. Okay. With another quarter hit deliveries in a third quarter, plus improvements in average selling price, material cost, and manufacturing efficiency, our vehicle margin increased to 14.5%. Okay, already got this. Okay, and the CFO comment here is our order growth momentum continues steadily fastly. So this is good for the outlook, driven by the expanded brand awareness, growing user base, and extended sales. So this is where NIO is benefiting with the word to mouth. More users are recommending to buy NIOs, and this is actually at even an industry benchmark. I think no other car brand is close to what NIO is doing there, not even Tesla in this regard, to be honest. So seems they're quite confident about the future of their the guidance here. And let's see a little bit what they talk about research and development. So in the third quarter, a decrease, based on the third quarter of 2019, makes a lot of sense. Okay, in the third quarter 2019, the higher costs were attributed to design and development costs, and this what where I was more conservative here, because I was expecting, because the ET7 is coming out soon, that they need more money now and cash and spend it in order to test the new vehicle before it comes to market. But it seems that they are still having those overall cost saving efforts. I actually heard that the NIO's policy right now is that even if you're the CFO or the CEO, it doesn't matter. Each company employee only has like 300 RMB to spend on travel expenses. So it's really, keeping this tight budget there, and yeah, we see it now reflected in the cost here as well. So this is quite cool. And then SG&A, that would be interesting to see also, has been a decrease from 2019 as well, despite ramping the sales. So this is really good news. This seems that the sales network of NIO is becoming more efficient. Also, the word-to-mouth effect, they can sell more vehicles despite not investing more into some really costly marketing campaigns here. So that should be, in the long run, really good also for the profitability once they are actually getting into bigger scale. Okay, what else? Relatively compared, stable to the second quarter 2020. Yeah, even despite ramping even further. So this is really good news here as well. Cool. The business outlook, they're guiding for 17,000 vehicles and total revenues to be 921 million. Wow, this is more than I am actually expecting. So this means they will actually exceed their full year guidance here, because I was only expecting that they make 830 million in Q4. Well, this is just guidance, so that's not for sure. But it seems like if they are aiming for 920 million, this means there's almost 1 billion in one quarter for the first time that NIO is actually guiding for. And this is huge, because they will definitely be more towards like 2.3 billion for this year. And maybe this even means that for next year, that the guidance could actually also increase for the full year guidance. So that's really bullish guidance here, including the deliveries as well as the revenues. But still, so far, it seems like the share price is currently going to $45. So maybe a couple of people are doing some profit taking. As mentioned before, I think I wouldn't read too much into the after hours here, and we will see tomorrow in the market what this really means. But overall, I haven't read every single word. I need to process this one after this live stream, but the stuff that I was just seeing so far is really, really a good report, and in some regards better than what I was anticipating. But of course, I was conservative. The only really, really bad part here, which I think for now, is the miss on the service business, the miss on the other sales, which were only 38 million, which, let me see what they had in Q2. I think maybe around the same number. In Q2, they had around, let me check, other sales actual were 33 million, so 5 million more here. That means that the NIO Life business, for instance, the e-commerce business and stuff like that, hasn't really increased too far. They were actually guiding for 45 million here. So I'm really wondering why this is not increasing here. So this is kind of the only bad thing that I can find about this report so far. Everything else is beyond my expectations, to be honest here, and should be good. Now the only question is obviously how much has been priced in by that so far. All right, let me check. Let's see if there are some comments. I mean, there are lots of comments, but maybe some questions here that you're having regarding the report so far. Are you happy with the report? Jack is expecting the 50s to come soon. Jason is talking about support levels 35 or 40. But I mean, like, this report is super solid. I mentioned it before, like in the earnings preview, I'm not expecting a sell-off, and if there is a sell-off, I mean, the sell-off is not based on anything substantial, because this is a really good report here. They are improving on all of the important key metrics, and I think this is really solid. So in case that this drops tomorrow, then that's profit taking and some readjustment. There is no change to the fundamental story here, despite maybe the other sales, the service business. But this has some more time to grow. My point of view, that the most important part here is that the vehicle sales and the revenues and the guidance in ramping. So with the earnings call, I think it's in 2 hours or so, I will be closely listening to what they say about the capacity ramp and also about the global expansion for next year. But I mean, when they're guiding for 17,000 vehicles, that's already, that's a double shift. That's more than 6,000 vehicles per month. This is really, really, really good. So yeah, between 45 to 60 US dollars. Yeah, why not? Okay, Sentinel says we beat EPS between. Awesome. Okay, let me check. Okay, so it translates into EPS of 0.12 US dollars per share. This is awesome. Yeah. So the Wall Street consensus was 0.16, I think, or 0.17, and I was expecting less. Actually, I was guiding for more losses there, but they actually even beat on the earnings and the earnings per share. This is awesome. I mean, this is an really awesome report here, to be honest. Yeah, I think profitability, to be honest, we could now, and I think this is something which I'm diving to next. We can now actually assume and break and calculate more, like at what point they're actually going to break even, because this has not. I was really calculating with some more bumpiness here between the earnings, that this time it could go down a little bit and next one go up again. But this is, once again, like similar to how they are ramping the production and the sales. This is really a smooth ramp here. And this way, it should be really quite interesting to see, to calculate a break-even point here for NIO. That could actually even be next year. I need to definitely dive into those numbers after this live stream. All right, what else? Yeah, Jason, you complaining about the markets down after this great news, and this is normal. I mean, NIO is usually always selling off after the earnings, and I wouldn't be really concerned with that. Once again, this is just after hours right now happening place, and then tomorrow we have a full day of trading where we will see what is the real reaction to those earnings. Could be a sell-off, of course, but based on what, really, guys? Based on what? This is really a good earnings report, and they are really in full speed right now, scaling as fast as Tesla in quarter on quarter, Q3 to Q4, and of course, not having the same scale as Tesla, and still, I mean, Tesla's ramp in with Giga Shanghai is one of the most overlooked things about Tesla in the recent days. I mean, they have been trading sideways quite a lot, but this information was out already, that they are beyond the 20,000 vehicles production rate already. And I think this is such a massive news, but still here, NIO is also doing really, really well here. Quite happy about this. So yeah, quite awesome earnings. Could have been way worse, to be honest, in terms of data. Could have missed on revenues, could have missed on earnings. And I was actually prepared for that. But with this is really, really, really awesome. Okay, so many comments coming in here quite fast. I have the same opinion, bit disappointed by the other sales revenue. Yeah, good comment, Alvaro. I think this is maybe due to the fact that they might be actually focusing so hard on getting those cars out, focusing the resources on getting the EC6 launched and stuff like that. But on the other hand, I definitely agree. There should be a considerable increase in the service business in the future. So this is definitely one of the key points to watch for the earnings call. And I hope that one of those analysts that will be on the call will actually ask them about the service business. I'm actually working on more breakdowns of the revenue streams also in this area of the service business and so on. So for me, this is a big driver in the future. Also, additionally for the profit margins and so on. Let me quickly check if they say anything about credits. No, regulatory. It's not mentioned here in the report, the regulatory credits. So I don't know so far. I haven't fully read it so far. This is all live. Sorry, guys. I'm really unprepared here. But I haven't seen anything talking about the regulatory credits and so far. So it seems like they possibly haven't even booked it yet during this quarter. In case they have booked it, that may also explain why they're beat on the earnings as well. But if they haven't booked it, that would be massive as well, because then we should expect it for the first time to happen in Q4, actually. And as mentioned, nobody's talking about this so far, but this is the same advantage that Tesla's has having, just as in China, NIO is also collecting those regulatory credits and obviously can talk with other vehicle makers and sell them to them. And there's like 100% margin on that, because that's just a byproduct of their business model, and in my views, well deserved. Okay, NIO has no factory. Yeah, of course, NIO has no factory, and I'm really happy about that, because this is the way they can scale so fast. To be honest, I spoke about it in my last video. The guys from NIO, they are not amateurs. This has been also largely influenced by people that have been working before with Roland Berger, now joined NIO. They know the industry in and out. I've had the opportunity to speak with the NIO co-founder, Jack Chung, who is actually the owner or founder of XPT. And XPT is the company that's wholly owned by NIO. And this is the company that is also producing their own electric vehicle skateboard, if you will, like the platform that includes the electric motor, includes the battery, and everything else that has been purposefully developed that NIO can build on this platform and have different car models on it, but also selling this, for instance, now to Xiaopeng, and in the future they're speaking about that they also want to supply it to other manufacturers. So that's actually a wholly owned foreign not a wholly owned foreign enterprise, but a wholly owned entity here for NIO that will actually have a second business by supplying those parts and those EV tech also to other companies there, thereby also making money possibly, but in general also being able to reduce cost and increasing the margins. They seem to have, if you already see 14% vehicle margins here, they really know where to save the cost, and also where they can source the stuff. So I'm really not worried about this aspect. I'm actually quite happy that NIO is not going to copy Tesla here with this 100% vertical integration. Tesla is doing that perfectly fine. As you guys know, I'm big invested in Tesla. I'm a big Tesla bull. So I'm happy to see that NIO is not copying this model one-on-one. Others are doing that, and they will have no chance to compete with Tesla, because Tesla is the pure leader in cost in terms of that. But NIO is going another way, more in an ecosystem and platform way. And this has so much potential in my point of view, and we'll be talking about a series of videos in the future about that. But so far, this is exceeding this earning call event here. Dylan asked if they're not, well, oh no, Sorry, the comments are coming in so fast, I can't even read them quickly enough. Europe expansion, as a European, do you think NIO will enjoy success? Really good question. So this is also one of the reasons why I'm actually invested in NIO. Of course, testing the product myself, and I mentioned before that it kind of has this little bit of a German quality feeling to it. Of course, it's a Chinese brand, and with lots of Chineseness to it, for instance, snow meter assistant and so on. But it also has this quality feel inside the car, like a luxury to premium brand here, in terms of there's no gaps and so on, and the leather is really nice, and it's really like the business class. So I do think this will quite resonate. This will resonate quite well with, for instance, the BMW, Mercedes, or Audi owner here in Europe, because they are used to this kind of hardware. What will be the interesting question, though, is how will NIO translate the service aspect into Europe? Because, of course, NIO in China is unique, also unique to Tesla, because they are focusing hardcore on the user experience. So service is 100% their USP there, and they are executing really well on that, and it's an outstanding service experience, and that comes together with all the NIO houses and so on, and with the car itself, of course. But the question is, like, how can you translate that into Europe, where people are not as digital native? So will Europeans buy the cars through an app, or will they be used to checking in and purchasing everything with their smartphone and so on? How will they adapt to something like that, and how likely is it that, for instance, also the digital assistant will be received well if it's getting translated and stuff like that? So that's really a question mark there. So NIO should actually find their own answers to that. I think they should have some localization efforts if they are going into Europe, but generally, like from the car itself, I think that will be quite well received here. Despite the question still here is, with the battery swap technology, does it make sense to bring that one to Europe? For China, I'm super bullish that we see the adoption, that so many people are swapping, and Chinese people live in compound houses, and they don't have home charging available, and also lots of uncertainty avoidance there. So, for instance, range anxiety and stuff like that. So the battery swapping is really solving a big pain point in China, despite the fact that supercharging, like Tesla is doing, is also 100% fine. Yeah, it's also a cool thing. But the question is now, would battery swapping be a thing in Germany or in Europe? And I'm not 100% sure if they want to bring that over here. As I mentioned before in some videos, Tesla had battery swapping also in the early days. They ditched it after launching just a small focus group with, I think, just around 100 people, and those didn't like it. They didn't use it. So they decided to ditch it, and I think for China it's a really good solution. Okay, some late followers here. How is NIO earnings? You missed it. Well, once again, if you're late to this live stream here, in a nutshell, earnings, the report is super solid, exceeding my personal expectations, and is beating also revenue and the estimates on EPS. So everything's looking really solid here with this report. How did you actually get to know about NIO? What sparked your interest? Thanks for the question, Niels. I don't remember really. I think, well, as you know, I'm actually an automotive consultant, so that's my background, and doing lots of projects also definitely in China, sometimes for the German OEMs and so on. So I always see what's happening in the automotive field. I was actually even 10 years back, I was working for the German Chamber of Commerce in the environmental department already. writing all those reports about how China is actually leapfrogging the internal combustion engine and will be jumping straight towards electric vehicles. And that didn't happen for quite some time. So when those startups popped up, that sparked really my interest. And quite early, I'm 6 times a year in China, I definitely check out those vehicles and so on. So I think the first time I have been in one of the NIOs was actually here in Berlin, to be honest, because they also have the NIO they have the NIO office in Munich. But well, now if I remember correctly, the first time was actually in Shanghai. But in Berlin, they also had a NIO in one of the events with the NIO team here. So there's like 6 NIOs, I think, in Europe currently, which sometimes they give to some car enthusiasts and so on. And I had the chance to sit in that one again and check it out. So that was cool as well. Thanks, Citron. You helped me to double the position. Yeah, awesome. Congratulations to you. Let's see how it goes tomorrow. You'll never know. Maybe there's a sell-off. We don't know. But once again, based on this report, it wouldn't make sense to sell off, to be honest. What else? Price predictions. Well, we already exceeded my price predictions for this year. This went all way too fast. As you know, I had a prediction for $40 a share based on the 2025 numbers and guidelines. And I didn't do back then. Well, when I did my target price, there was no BAS. There was no what else? No upgrade of the NIO pilot and news on about the ramp up of the autonomy and all of this stuff wasn't included in my predictions about where NIO should be priced, to be honest. So I only included, the new funding situation, because we need to be, humble here in terms of that. In the beginning of this year, NIO was on the verge to bankruptcy. The big thing for me was actually when they secured the funding with the Hefei agreement. And based on that, I made the prediction that now NIO could actually, have those funds and execute on their plans on ultimately producing maybe up to 500,000 cars in a couple of years. And based on that, I made my forward prediction on what this should be in terms of valuation for NIO. And now I'm working on this big update on a new price target, also looking far beyond that. So stay tuned for that. But as of today, I really can't give any number. And actually, to be honest, you shouldn't be trading on, not even my targets, but also not other analysts' targets. You need to see for yourself what you think this company should be valued at. And also where you see them in competition, for instance, with others. What I like to contribute to that is giving you all the information that I have with the research that I do, and then hopefully you can make a better decision. What about the impact from GIC and NIO? Yeah, not so much yet. They are launching a new car. Actually, those cars don't look so good, I think, to be honest. But yeah, no, so far we don't see any impact of GIC NIO. But in the end, NIO has ownership in that company. So if there are revenues coming in, definitely will have impact on NIO as well. Greetings from Heilbronn. Oh, Heilbronn. Nice. Greetings back, Adam. Yeah, it's not having their own factory a good thing? Question mark. Don't they have 100% control of the production? Dylan, good question. So as outlined in many of my videos, I'm a big fan of the fact that they don't have their own factory, because it means that they need to spend less capital. It's quite lean model. They can focus more on building this ecosystem, on networking all of those different players. And instead, I think the relation between JIC and NIO is really, really quite intertwined here. And I think they're doing an excellent job in terms of quality of the cars that they're delivering. And of course, a big risk here is that the JIC agreement will at some point in time, I think in 1 or 2 years, needs to be renegotiated. So that is kind of a risk for NIO. But with the Hefei deal now as well, and GIC is obviously based in Hefei, and this is also a big commitment by the local government, and also that, in my point of view, should mean that this is a preferred model. And so far, with the official news from Li Bin, from the CEO, we know that NIO can ramp to more than 300,000 cars with just one factory so far with JAC in this partnership, and this is still some way to go. So they won't exceed that next year. So of course they will come up with new plans if they need a second factory, or if they think they need to have a second partner. They could also do it, for instance, with GAC. But so for now, it's a lot of talk about this issue. But in my point of view, this is a non-issue, to be honest. Okay, are you not afraid that this Chinese brand will have this made in China or Tesla copy image when it hits the EU markets? Good question, Sven. I don't think so, because the car really just is so convincing in terms of the quality aspects. So I do think it, once again, it really has a little bit this feeling of a premium German car to it, in my point of view. I'm not a super car nerd in this regard, so maybe others will judge it differently. Always check it out yourself. If you can go to Shanghai, go and visit a NIO house, or if you're in Germany, maybe go to Munich, where they have some cars standing around, and check it out. And I think this is definitely not what we are used to see a couple of years ago regarding Chinese cars. The big question is like how well they are managing, for instance, the marketing, the customer relationship, and also the service points, in which they are really good in China, but can they do the same thing in Europe? That's the big question. And I think NIO has, this is the cool thing. It started as a global brand. It was not like that they started as a Chinese company and then we're like thinking, oh, now we need to get more demand, we need to go overseas. No, they had offices in the UK, in the US, and in Germany right from the beginning. So this is a really good setup. Also lots of marketing activities I've seen on social media so far, in magazines even here. So some car magazines in Germany are reporting about them, despite it's not available, right? So this is all the work that they have put into. And this is also, frankly, something that should be reflected also in the valuation of this company, because they have this huge asset of being the first real Chinese premium brand that can actually compete with some of those more higher priced car makers there. And this is really unique as a Chinese company. Usually Chinese are just low price, copycat. You buy it just for 1 month and then you throw it away. And this is definitely different with this company. And that's so interesting to watch here. I thought earnings were supposed to come out at 7 p.m. No, earnings, they always send first the earnings report, and the earnings call will be at 7 p.m. Yeah, what about regulatory credits? Good question, Stefan. Maybe you came a little bit later to the live stream here. So far, I cannot find any mention here in this report, but sorry, the credits, no, regulatory, no. If I just search it quickly, I cannot find it here in this report. And as mentioned, this is now really unprepared. I was jumping on this live stream, basically reading through those numbers as I'm on the stream, and I didn't see anything mentioned about the vehicle, about the regulatory credits as well here in this report. So I'm expecting that Li Bin will answer this question during the earnings call, hopefully from one of the analysts. Otherwise, we should expect them to come in the Q4. Will you be able to stream the earnings call for us? Honestly, the earnings call you can also listen to. You can just go to their website, just Google Investor Relations NIO, or go to ir.nio.com, and you can sign up for the webcast, and you can actually listen to it. Although none of us can actually ask any questions, that's a little bit of a problem. All right, make the screen bigger. Yeah, you can actually find this information on the website. So if you go to nio.com and then Investor Relations, the news release will have the financial results of this report. Any update on the ET7? No, not so far. I expect it to be shown first with the NIO Day, and then we'll see how fast they want to ramp it. I think there's no pressure to ramp it really quickly, but I would expect that they want to launch it next year. Cash position, is it comfortable? Yes, cash position is very comfortable. $3.3 billion US dollars. So at the current losses, what is it? $3.3 billion US dollars. And how many losses do they have? 0.15. Gives them many, many months and quarters of run rate, to be honest. So, but still, the question would be like if they want to make a secondary and actually, have an even bigger cash cushion, for the globalization efforts, and maybe also, who knows, for building their own factory at some point in time. So far, I don't see that coming, and so far, I think also that the globalization with Europe first will be a small step. I think they won't go into that really quickly because, as you've seen, they're now guiding for 17,000 vehicles here. So this is a massive guidance, in my point of view, for the. Let me check where's the guidance for the next quarter. So that's also good news. Really good news. They could have been more conservative on the guidance. That would be a real blow to this report if they would have guided for less sales in Q4, because that would essentially mean that they have problems with the capacity and scaling production. But it doesn't look like this at all. Will NIO earnings affect the other EV companies? Good question. I don't think so. Because we've been seeing that NIO, Li Auto, and XPeng, for instance, have been going quite a bit in parallel recently, and I think it's time to split again, and to that investors will look more carefully once again at those reports. You may have seen my comments about that. I think that the XPeng guidance for Q4 wasn't actually that good. It was actually quite weak in my point of view. And still, it went up. It actually also got a new price target, a very bullish price target. So maybe there's no big effect on XPeng in the near-term future. But be really careful about, and this is not investment advice, but I would be really careful about the actual next earnings, particularly because also Q1 is always a weak quarter in auto sales. And then if they haven't solved the problem by then I think that also the analyst price targets will have to change for XPeng. So in general, I think now we will see more differentiation here between NIO, XPeng, and Li Auto in the coming days and weeks. Do you think banks will start upgrading NIO's price targets? Good question. I think we had some really good bullish catch up on the price targets. Usually the banks are quite, or the analysts are quite conservative on those price targets, and usually need to do a little bit of a catch up, to be honest, on what's really happening in the markets, because you need to know what's happening with those price targets. It's not so much a guidance for you guys, but more for the big banks that are buying and the institutional investors and so on. So they really rely on those price targets, and that's why we see those big movements on the stock prices once those targets are issued. But we have, as retail investors, we have this kind of advantage here that we can, think on our own and become invested before actually such kind of price targets are issued. So I don't necessarily think we will have lots of new refined price targets here for now, but could be wrong on that. Definitely don't see any sell targets based on this report, because this is just really, really a solid report, to be honest. So, well, what still could happen is obviously now that with the management earnings call, that there could be, a tough question by one of the analysts, or that Li Bin or the CFO mentions something that isn't well perceived by the markets. That could reflect badly on top of those financial results here, but these results here are really, really good. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bullish is this earnings report? I would say I would give it an 8. Why does NIO have released unaudited finances? Yeah, you may have been late to the start of the stream, but it's normal. The quarterly earnings are always unaudited. Only the full year reports are getting audited, because there's no time for the auditors to audit quarterly reports. That's with every company. That's normal, so it shouldn't influence it. What do you think of Li Auto? Done any research there? Yeah, Brandon, I'm not invested in Li Auto, and my biggest point why I'm not invested is actually that it's not an EV company. So they have this kind of hybrid model where they have a battery, but also a small combustion engine that can even charge the battery and so on. So kind of a range extender here. And I'm not betting on a company that is going with this model, because I think pure battery electric vehicles are the future. And every money invested, every dollar invested also in R&D that is not going into a pure BEV company, I think that's wasted money. Also fuel cell, to be honest, not with personal cars. I don't see it there. So that's why my only investments are in Tesla and NIO, which I think are the leaders in this regard. And for XPeng, as I mentioned before, I think that they will be selling well. I think the car is looking good, but for me, it's too much of a copycat of Tesla in terms of the website is a copycat thing. The car, how it looks, is quite similar as well. They actually stole a little bit of the autopilot source code, so that's foul play in my point of view. I'm not bullish on such kind of a company. They may develop into something else in the future, because I think they actually have to, because also they're now trying to compete on price with Tesla, and I think there's no way. Tesla is the market leader when it comes to cost and pricing, so they will have a really hard time. But that doesn't matter that there is not a market for it, because actually the EV market in China is going to be so big, and also globally, that they will sell every car which they're making, to be honest. So it might become a solid company in the future, but for me, it just doesn't have this, big vision, and also those big prospects, for instance, like Tesla and NIO. So that's why I'm personally, in terms of opportunity cost, if I can put my money somewhere, then I'd rather put it into those other two companies. Also, for instance, with Tesla now, they have been going sideways for quite some time until the S&P announcement yesterday. So, and now you need to see that they're really doing very well on I think the full self-driving looks quite promising in my point of view. So I think there's also, with the energy business and so on, the Tesla story is far from over. So that's also why I haven't sold a single share on Tesla, why I will not selling any share of NIO after this earnings report. It's just, these are still companies very much in progress so far. Is everyone sleeping on BYD? Good comment. Well, I've been following BYD since more than 10 years ago, actually. And I know Warren Buffett is invested in it. I know ARK Invest is invested in it. I've been driving in their cars. You know, in Shenzhen, all of the taxis are BYD cars. But for me, once again, that's not a pure play EV company for one. So they also sell internal combustion engine cars. And also, frankly, I just don't see their product lineup as strong as, for instance, NIO's. And I cannot relate to this company as much as, for instance, to NIO, despite the fact that they're doing interesting stuff on the battery side with some really low-cost platforms that they're building here for the batteries, which, in my point of view, can be interesting, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's also an interesting investment case, in my point of view. All right, last questions before I close the live stream. What's your thought about the Citron report? Well, I haven't made a video on it, and that's for a reason, because I think that report is not even worth commenting on. What does NIO have an advantage over Tesla? Well, I think, in my point of view, and not everyone agrees with me on that, and also not every Tesla bull, for instance, will agree on that, but I think NIO and Tesla can actually go hand in hand. This is why I have invested in both companies. I think NIO caters really, really well to the Chinese audience of premium car buyers. I think Tesla will be really becoming, you know, a mass market car brand in China, because they will be selling many vehicles. Like the Model Y will be big, the Model 3 is already big, they're ramping the production huge. They will possibly produce a local made or localized next generation car in China on top of that. So no doubt Tesla will be doing really well in China. And on top of that, I think NIO has their own niche. They have a much higher much higher localization here, of course, in China as a Chinese company. And I think it also resonates much more with a certain type of users, which possibly wouldn't buy a Tesla anyways. They would rather buy a BMW or a Mercedes or an Audi. And so I guess if we see like how big this EV market is going to be, I mean, we need those EV companies, right? Because somebody needs to produce those cars. And so I do think that really Tesla and NIO are positioned to take the largest share of this coming market. But this is just my personal views. You may disagree on that. With all manufacturers trying to get their EVs, how do you see NIO getting their batteries and so on? That's a cool question by New Blade. Yeah, actually, I think that was a smart move by NIO with actually announcing the BAS, the battery as a service, together with CATL. So CATL, the biggest, one of the biggest battery manufacturers in China, is a shareholder in this company, the battery management asset company, in which NIO is a shareholder, but also CATL as well as other stakeholders. And that's a smart move because thereby, not only if other manufacturers are also joining the battery swapping and becoming part of this company, maybe even as shareholder, that's also possible, then CATL will supply all of those batteries for this company, for the battery swapping mechanism and so on. And thereby, NIO has suddenly this really large connection to CATL because, of course, they suddenly become one of the biggest clients to them, and the ecosystem provider for the battery asset management here. So that's the powerful thing about BAS here. So that's really why I'm not worried that they have actually supply constraint issues regarding the battery here. Much in contrast, actually, to if you have listened to the Xiaopeng earnings call, they have managed that they are currently not getting enough batteries there. So it seems that Xiaopeng, is having some issues here with the sourcing. That may actually also explain their weak guidance for the Q4. Although the markets perceived it as a good guidance, but if you ask me, that was not a good guidance. Who are your favorite Twitter people to follow? I follow lots of Tesla people, to be honest. I think maybe go and follow Vincent, or go and follow Gally from Hyperchange, which are all really these are really influential and cool Twitter accounts. But recently, there are also some really cool NIO accounts coming up. Some people who have big stakes in NIO, I guess. For instance, Chester, the investor, I also featured him in one of my videos in the beginning. That was kind of a joke when he lost his bet, and he was actually going naked into the gym working out. But yeah, I mean, we as NIO gang, we have to stick together here as well, right? And featuring it if we promise that we're gonna do stuff that we're gonna do. So always deliver on promises, like NIO did today. Deliver on those promises. Yeah, NIO, to be honest, maybe also to round this up here, and by finishing the live stream here, but I've been to earnings calls where, well, actually not have taken place, where they canceled the earnings calls. I've been in NIO since many months, in 2019, when they had the battery recall issues. I was already a shareholder, and when NIO was really in a bad position, and those earnings calls, the earnings calls, they have been really shady. Also, the reports, they weren't as good as today's report. So I was part of following the NIO story when they even fired their CFO, or I'm not sure if he was fired, but he left NIO, obviously. And so now with the new CFO, I have the impression that this guy, he is really smart. Not to say that the other CFO was not smart. I think he was possibly largely involved in actually going IPO, and these are different tasks that you have to do if you go IPO than if you are managing operationally the business. And I have the feeling that this new CFO, he really knows his thing. So he's quite smart in the estimations that he's doing, also in the kind of stuff that he's answering on the earnings call so far. So looking forward to it, what he will be saying today. So that was really a good upgrade here, or a change in the position for NIO. I think the old CFO did a good job with getting NIO listed with Nasdaq, but then you definitely need a new CFO like the one today in order to get NIO where they are, become a growing company, delivering on results, and having the right estimations and guidelines here for the investors. Will Lee be on the call? Yeah, Lee is always on a call. Lee Bin, he's always on a call. All right, so I don't see too many new questions that I haven't answered so far. I guess this video will be available to view later as well after I end the broadcast here. Last question, Marcel. Are blue skies coming? Well, definitely blue skies are coming. Yeah, this is the overarching vision here. I mean, I've been living in Beijing in 2008, 2009, 2010, and the air pollution was really, really bad. And in Beijing, you also get the sandstorms coming in from the desert, and then sometimes you don't even see your own hand in front of you. And so this is a really severe problem. But this is also part of the reason why I'm founding this channel, because in Western media, there's only the bad news about China and also about the Chinese companies, for instance, the fraud on Luckin Coffee, but which is a fraud, of course, and also the environmental pollution, which is environmental pollution, of course. And yes, it is an authoritarian regime and so on. However, there's also lots of stuff that is happening in China that is going in the right direction. For instance, now regarding blue sky and coming, China has some of the most renewable energy policies in place. They're doing lots of stuff on this front. They have lots of guidelines pushing for carbon neutrality. They're pushing electric vehicles. This is why the EV market in China is the biggest in the world. And this is what I want to get covered on this channel: tech from China, interesting companies, and maybe some of the perspectives that are not so much covered by media, because to be frank, it's also, of course, politics involved at some points in time. So that's it so far, I guess. Earnings pretty good, beat on the estimations, beat on the revenues, beat on the EPS. NIO down 2% in the after hours. I wouldn't be worried on that. I wouldn't be worried as well if NIO goes down tomorrow, because these earnings are really very solid and are beating my personal expectations here. And there's no reason for an end to the growth story of NIO here, and the fundamentals are looking intact. So now, hopefully, we get more news actually on the open questions about the service business, about the battery as a service, about the regulatory credits in the earnings call. And I will definitely make sure to have a second video on that, maybe also reflecting a little bit more on this earnings report here, because as you've seen, this was quite unprepared. This was live. I was just going through this. Maybe I missed some stuff, but thank you guys for all of your questions, and also correcting me where I was wrong in without the deep dive here into those numbers before going in here. And I hope it was fun for you as a live stream event. Actually, that won't be the last live stream. There's more earnings coming up. As you know, I'm also invested in Futu, so the stockbroker, the Robinhood-like investor app in China. Also Tiger, the same app basically, but a different company. Then also Huami, earnings coming up on Monday, and I will be having a preview on the earnings on Huami as well. And also after the earnings, I will actually have a live stream on that as well with a special guest, so stay tuned for that. As always, I will cover a little bit more with my patrons in the beginning, so writing down some stuff, and then later on producing the videos for that as soon as I find the time. And that's it. Last question: why is Huami up today? Well, they launched a new premium brand today called Cfo, and I think also that investors are now already starting buying into Huami, because obviously earnings coming up next week. And Huami has been in a downtrend for quite some time, but now I think investors are kind of seeing that there might be a turnaround coming with the Q3 and Q4 numbers. So let's see, definitely give you a preview on that as well. So thank you guys for the comments. If you want, please subscribe and also hit the like button. That helps the algorithm. And thanks for participating in this spontaneous live feed here, and quite a bit of an experiment, to be frank, as well. So see you later. See you with a video and a follow-up on the earnings call, and thank you guys for watching.